Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast. Our primary objective is to motivate and inspire our listeners to never quit. The reality of life is simple. We all fall. We all fail. At times, we get knocked down. The question is, do we get back up? Are we stronger? Are we better prepared to attain the maximum of our potential? Thank you for joining our No Quit tribe. As you go for your greatness today, never quit. And remember, we rise by lifting others up. Welcome to episode number 254 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is Unbreakable. Our quote of the day comes to us from Garth Brooks, the human spirit, unbreakable, relentless, free. Our guest today has a family motto, and that is Unbreakable. When Scott Flansbaum was told by his doctors that he would never walk again and be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, that wasn't okay with him. Today, his purpose is to help others become unbreakable. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Scott, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on this.
I appreciate it. So the first question I ask everybody is, are you ready to bring it today?
Oh, man, I love it. I love your enthusiasm. I'm ready. It'll be Broughton.
Awesome. So the number one objective of our show is to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up. And I know you have quite an amazing no-quit story, and I wanted to just ask if you wouldn't mind briefly sharing that with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, it's almost been 18 months now, but August 17th, 2018, I went in, life was going fine. I went in for routine epidural injection. I was having some issues. I was in the Marine Corps, did infantry, carried a 50 cal. And anybody who's a veteran that's carried that huge pig probably has back issues. So, went in for routine epidural injection. I've done dozens of times and jumped up on the table, got it done, jumped off. Normal day. And they make me wait 15 minutes. So I waited, I went to get up, and as soon as I got up, I went, oh, man, something's wrong. And so to make a long story short, basically what happened over the next 3 hours is I went paralyzed from the chest down. The doctor hit my spinal cord, caused the spinal hematoma, which is a blood clot in your spinal cord. And your spinal cord, as I've learned a lot about spinal cord injuries, does not want anything in it but spinal cord fluid. So my wife came down, we went over to Mayo Clinic. Basically, a doctor came in and told us, look, this is what happened. And at this moment, I could not feel anything from the chest down, could not move anything. And he goes, you're bleeding out in your spinal cord. We need to get you into emergency surgery right away. And we just have to let you know, we can assure you, we'll do everything to make sure you're not paralyzed for the rest of your life. But you will never walk again. And as you can imagine, that was just, I can't even tell you what that feels like, especially when a few hours later you have a barbecue planned, your whole weekend. I'm a father of 4 girls. I mean, it was just, our lives were flipped upside down. So I went in the surgery. They had to open me up. It was so bad. They had to open me up from C2, which is at the base of your skull, down to T3. They cleaned out all the blood. They caged me up, and I came out to my surgeon, who I hadn't even met before the surgery. That's how acute it was. And I saw him, and I said, look, you do this all the time. I'm at Mayo Clinic, thank God. How bad was it? And he goes, it was really bad. And I'm not going to lie to you. You will be in a wheelchair the rest of your life. Because when I came out of surgery, they gotten everything back with my right leg. My right leg was still paralyzed. And so, man, from there on, it was just that, it's like, that was my fight. And before I went under, I said a prayer. I stopped everybody. I said a prayer, and I asked God, I said, if you give me the opportunity to walk again, I will do anything and everything to fight to make that happen. And so basically, long story short, depending on how much we want to get into it, for the next week, I fought, and I said, everything they tell me to do, I first of all won't say no. And whatever they ask me to do, I'll do twice as much. And I can assure you, it was the physical therapy was brutal. It was brutal. And on top of that, my spine was open from C2 to T3. But man, I fought and I fought. And a week later, when I should have been in there for 3 months, I essentially went home on a walker. And the nurse practitioner, she was the first one I saw when I came in and told me that I'd never walk again, looked at me and said, "You are a freaking miracle, because we see this every day and we have never seen somebody get out of this as fast as you have." And it might be partially a miracle, but I think part of it is I've been through a lot in my life and I've done a lot the wrong way, but I had that never quit attitude. And I was not going to let this consume me. No matter what I got back or what I didn't get back, I was going to make sure that in my mind, I had done everything possible and done it twice as hard. And it's still ongoing. It's still ongoing.
It's an amazing story, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I guess a follow-up question to that is, not knowing what you went through, having not done it myself, understanding the mindset and realizing that people obviously face things of this nature, and obviously where you were, that's all that they do all the time. What is it that you think that you had inside of you with that made that no quit attitude come out, or the ability and more so the willingness to just do anything and everything to get back on your feet?
I'd have to say, first and foremost, experience, doing things wrong plenty of times in my life and learning from those. But I can tell you that right before this happened, I was at that moment in my life where, I was checking every box as far as being successful. I had a really high-paying, powerful job. I had the girlfriend, wife of my dreams now that I always wanted. I have 4 beautiful kids, but I was dead inside, like a lot of people are, just going through the motions of every day. And yeah, you're checking all those boxes, and people from the outside look at you and think you're so successful. But inside, you're just looking in the mirror, just going, I need to do something. Like, I can't keep living like this. And when this happened, that was my fire. I felt like God was saying, "Okay, buddy, here you go." And so from those experiences and everything, I was like, you know what? Enough's enough. I'm going to freaking rise, and I'm going to rise to the occasion. I'm never going to quit. And no matter what it is at the end, I'm going to use this for the rest of my life. And I'm not going back to where I was right before this.
That's awesome, and I appreciate you being so honest and forthright, because I think that's the challenge in life is none of us encounter the exact same thing or at the exact same moment or time in our lives. But the reality is, I think why our show has had success as well as our company is every single person has a no-quit story or a no-quit time or some point in their life where they were challenged and tested. And at that point, you have, I think, only one choice, either to give up, in essence, and kind of just accept it as is, or to go after it and give it your all. And I love what you said early on in the story is you were going to do whatever they said and then some. And I appreciate you talking about it, because I know it's a tough story. So I'm curious for your answer on this question. If you had to define yourself, but you could only use one word, what would you pick?
That's easy. I would say unbreakable. And if anybody follows me, that is our family's motto now that we came up after this happened. And yeah, unbreakable is what I am.
If I had to have bet before I asked that question, I would have said that was the answer, just because I follow you. I follow you on social media, and I think the reality is nothing's identical, but obviously it fits in with the whole no quit living mindset and kind of what we do as a company. But I think it's amazing because you can use it and take it for your family, your business, your team, your company. Fill in the blank, and I think it's just an awesome word, but more importantly, I think it's a really cool mindset. And obviously, not only you yourself, but your family has completely bought into it 100%.
Absolutely. And if I can follow up on that for anybody who's listening, it's when we came up with that, it wasn't that we haven't been broken throughout this process. I mean, my family has taken round after round, including my kids. I mean, as you can imagine, how much this shook our family upside down. But on the back of our bracelets, our Unbreakable bracelets, it says "Bend, don't break." And that's the thing, is every time that we've gotten hit and we thought we were broken, we have risen back up. And so that's where Unbreakable comes from, is you're going to take rounds and rounds. Sorry, I'm a Marine, so I'm going to use that analogy, but just keep rising and be unbreakable.
I think that's so cool, and it's such a powerful phrase, is bend, don't break, because the reality is, we all get tested, we all have challenges, obstacles, and the reality is we're all going to bend. Nobody is unstoppable. Nobody is 100% bulletproof, and I think that fits perfectly, not only with what you're doing with all your stuff, but I think for your family, that's just an awesome motto, and I love that, bend, don't break.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind just telling us kind of a little bit about who you are and what you're doing today.
Yeah, that's a great question. So 2020, when you have a spinal cord injury, the first year is so important, as far as they say 95% of what you're going to get back for the rest of your life. It happens in the first year. So the first year was all about recovery and just living in physical therapy and doing that. And then partially this past year, another few months. But 2020 is all about, I just finally got an MRI and got all my results after a year and a half. And unfortunately, I have, for right now, irreversible spinal cord damage. So I have a lot of issues, and recovery will always be a part of my life. But we decided, my family, that 2020 is all about figuring out how to live with this and make that my goal. So once again, we have this, I hate to say lifestyle brand, but Unbreakable, and we just started a nonprofit under it for people that, our goal is for people that get flipped upside down on their head like we did, whether it's spinal cord injury, whatever. We helped a lady that was in an abusive relationship walk away, and her and her kids. And so we're just going to work on that. Obviously, recovery is a huge part of that, but we're just trying to start that. And my goal is, because I can't work right now, I still need to challenge my mind and have a purpose in this life. So my purpose now is to help spinal cord injury victims, or anybody else who's going through a hard time, just be unbreakable, get out of that situation, and kind of what you guys are doing. Just don't quit. Don't freaking quit.
I love it. So do you have some information or a website you could share with our listeners?
So right now it's just my Instagram, which is unbreakable_journey. Like I said, it's in its infancy. But if you follow me on there, just look for it. We're obviously trying to figure it out. I'm sure from doing your own thing, it's definitely a challenge, but at the end of the day, we're trying to do the right thing and help people. And so I think we're going to be successful.
No, and I know you have some exciting news with some GoFundMe information, and I believe that's coming out in February. And I think you said that the best way to find out information about that is also via social media. Correct.
So February 15th, we're doing a 5K Unity walk down here at Peaks and Valley, a restaurant. I have this amazing family, the Schwartz family, that's helping me out. So I need a robotic brace to accomplish my goal of walking without my walker again. And unfortunately, it's extremely expensive and not covered under insurance. And so my wife and I have been dragging our feet in this, because we really don't want to ask anybody for help, but we finally come to a point where we need to. So we're going to do a fundraiser out there. We'll do a GoFundMe. So look on my Instagram page, and every dollar that we raise over the money for my brace, we're hoping to raise enough money to get a wheelchair accessible van for somebody that had an injury like mine, because those are not covered. And I found from some of the people that I've been mentoring, that's a huge issue. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's February 15th. So when this podcast comes out, you should be able to see that on Unbreakable Journey on Instagram, and we'll have a GoFundMe. And if you can support, that'd be awesome. And of course, we will post videos of all that. So our goal is to get me this brace, and then have another video where we're surprising some family that just got their life flipped upside down with a wheelchair accessible van, which is, I can't even tell you how important that is for somebody who's going through this and is in a wheelchair.
That is awesome in the sense of what you're doing, and we will definitely share. We'll blast it out, and when your episode goes live, we'll tag you, and we'll hopefully get some people over to the page. But to selfishly touch on the second part about that story is, I think the first part, obviously, of you getting what you need is awesome. But the fact that you're tying this to somebody else, and we have a hashtag we've been using a ton, is we rise by lifting others up, and I think, the fact that you're paying it forward for someone else, and your objective is, for somebody or family's life that's been turned up, you're going to pay it forward to them, not only physically with the money and raising that money, but more importantly, mentally, emotionally, you're doing something for somebody that obviously they've just had their lives turned upside down. So I think that's incredible, and it really ties into kind of the whole thing we talk about, which is paying it forward for somebody else. And I think no matter what we're encountering each and every single day, there are other people that are encountering things just the same, or if not worse. And I think if we actually, as a country, decided to help each other and to lift people up, I think we'd be just in a much different and a much better place.
Oh, amen, brother. I preach that every single day. Exactly what you said, and I love your hashtag. I will actually start putting it on all of my posts. Because, and not only that, I always tell people, because we've helped a lot of people, especially before this happened to us. And I always say, it's like, no, that's selfish, because we get so much more out of it than the person that we're helping. So if you're out there, once again, just buy somebody a Starbucks if you're in line, and just get that feeling of what you feel, and it's awesome. So I love it. I love what you guys are doing.
I think it's so interesting what you just said about the coffee. We do a lot of different posts and videos and things, and one of the things we're constantly talking about is, and at the end of each show, I kind of have like a motto or theme of the day or a question or quote of the day. And I think one of the things we've said probably 20 or 30 times is do something today for somebody else and do it just because. And we give examples of whether it's holding open a door for a stranger, whether it's buying somebody a cup of coffee, letting somebody have your parking space, or there's just little things. And I think people are seeing and feeling and realizing that it's not about the money perspective. And don't get me wrong in any way, whether you buy somebody a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, obviously it costs money. But in today's day and age, that $2 or $3, it's not about the monetary perspective. It's about the fact that you're doing something for somebody else, and say, you know what, this cup of coffee's on me, or you know what, go ahead and in line. And I've seen some people do the same thing where for service members or police officers or firemen in different stores and Starbucks and things. And I think it's just it's something that, to your point, and not to go into it too much, but it's something that we all can do. And I think it's something that what you said hit home really, really powerfully to me is, selfishly, you do something for somebody else, but you end up feeling so much better yourself because you did something for somebody else, and you did it with zero expectations in return.
100%. And just to add on to that, I tell my girls this all the time, just smile at somebody, just give them a warm smile and see their face light up. Costs nothing, costs absolutely nothing. Or hold the door, like you said. So love it.
That's awesome, and I think it's just powerful to actually smile at somebody and look them in the eye and say hello or good morning or good afternoon, and it's shocking sometimes because people look at you like what did that person just say? And they almost want to kind of turn around and check to see that you're not looking at or saying hello to somebody else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So want to change lanes here for a second. Just an interesting question or two we ask people is, if you could go back and give the 20-year-old version of yourself one piece of advice, what would it have been?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I would tell that a 20-year-old self is no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you fight, life is going to kick your ass. It's going to give you challenges all the time, and just do what you do, which is have integrity, fight, and what you guys talk about, don't quit. and just remember that it's going to get better. God does everything for a reason, and it's going to get better. Just keep going. That's what I would tell myself.
I love that, and great advice. Now, if I had the opportunity to grant you dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would you pick and why?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Jeez, I was not expecting this one. This is terrible, but also awesome. It's the only person that comes to my mind right away is Jesus Christ. And I know that's like the most cliche answer, but yeah, that's the only thing that keeps coming into my mind. So I'm gonna have to go with the cliche answer, which in the end is still pretty epic.
No, it's not. It's not cliche in any shape or form. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to jump into what we call our hot seat questions, and the only thing we ask of you is that you just spit out the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
If you had one meal and you could pick absolutely anything, what would you pick?
My wife's enchiladas.
Favorite sports team?
Oh, 49ers.
Ooh, favorite sport?
Oh, softball right now because of my girls.
Do you have a favorite smell?
Oh, geez. New car? That could be totally wrong.
Favorite.
That's what came up.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote? It's the one on the back of my shirt. I'm coming for everything they said I'd never have.
Awesome quote. All-time favorite book?
Oh, Lone Survivor.
Great book.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Top Gun.
Favorite singer, group, band, or musician?
Bon Jovi.
Okay. And if you were stuck in a foxhole and you could pick only one person to have your back, who would it be?
I got to pick two. Dom Raso and Ozzy Piedra.
Awesome. So a question that I didn't want to skip over that we talk about quite a bit is the importance of a morning routine. And I was curious if you have a morning routine that you swear by.
Yeah, as of now, I do. It's about 45 minutes. I hobble over to the small bathroom in our house. I turn the shower on high so it steams up in the heater, and I start stretching because that's what I have to do every day just to get out of bed and excuse me, and make it throughout the day. So my morning routine every day is to go to that bathroom and just stretch out. And I say that because anybody who's listening to this, just remember when you're struggling, there are so many people, there's people out there that have to wait for somebody to put them in a wheelchair, or they have to wait for their nurse to get there and help them because they can't do anything. I'm lucky enough to stumble over the bathroom and stretch for 45 minutes, but that is my everyday routine right now.
And wanted to ask again if you wouldn't mind just sharing your Instagram handle again so our listeners can definitely connect, follow you, as well as when your GoFundMe page goes live.
Absolutely. It's at Unbreakable_journey. That's it.
Awesome. And then last question I have for you is if you have any parting words you'd like to leave with the listeners.
Absolutely. No matter where you are, no matter how bad it is, even if you're at your rock bottom, fight for what you want. Never quit, be unbreakable. And more importantly than anything, grab a hold of somebody's hand that you love and ask for help.
I love it. I think that's such amazing advice, and I think in today's day and age, people don't ask for help enough. So listen, Scott, I truly appreciate you sharing what you did with us. I think your story is remarkable. I hope our listeners will connect with you as well as follow you on Instagram, as well as join your GoFundMe page and hopefully share it with others. But I think it was an awesome interview, and I think unbreakable is just an amazing word, and I really appreciate you being here, and hopefully we can connect again soon.
I can't thank you enough. I'm so humbled. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to episode number 254. Scott is definitely unbreakable, and he is leading by example. In his parting words, Scott referenced that no matter how bad it is, or if you feel that you've hit your rock bottom, fight for what you want, be unbreakable, and most importantly, grab a hold of someone's hand that you love and ask them for help. On many of our episodes, we challenge and ask our listeners to help others and to pay it forward. Today, let's change that channel and open up the lines of communication for those people that need help. To echo what Scott said, if you need it, grab a hold of someone's hand and ask for their help. And remember, we rise by lifting others up. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.